Well, it looks like the mystery just continues to get even crazier than we thought. Welcome back to Soul and Media, and we are here to talk about episode 2 of Lanterns, aka Trustfall, an episode that gives us a lot of answers and a lot more questions to now go as we continue to flow into the rest of this season. This episode, as I said, gave us a lot. It gave us the first name drop of the Manhunters. It gave us a few humanoid aliens hiding amongst, normal civilization. It gives us a lot of time since we separated our protagonists to get to know Hal and to get to know John and the differences between them, and maybe even a metaphor that really represents the differences between them. But real quick, before we start getting into our thoughts and recapping, Mike, what were your thoughts on episode 2 of Lanterns and just the amount that it gives us and the amount that it still is hiding from us?
I felt like this episode confirmed for me why Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre were perfectly cast in these roles, because on one hand you had Aaron, basically being kind of just pushed to the side for sake of doing Hal Jordan's deeds of getting his lantern, because his ring is not fully charged, which again goes shots to comic books and everything. But also even beginning when it was teaching how to fly, his mannerisms of how creative he is, in terms of him as a lantern when he used constructs, right? The bird, I feel like we're going to have a significant meeting, in coming episodes, particularly next week's episode. But I feel like this was also just a nod to the fact of how creative he was in terms of him being an architect, but and thinking more beyond than just the average, Green Lanterns in terms of constructs. But with Kyle, I felt like he was perfectly cast as Hal Jordan, and I'm continuing to love him more after each episode. And this episode, again, you still have his mannerism. You don't feel like it's just a one episode wonder type of thing. Like, no, he is fully integrated where this is Hal Jordan and his mannerisms of him being an older person and also having a hunch, being a detective, and now kind of going to using his police detective skills, whether how good or bad how they may be. I felt like they definitely execute in a way, as a comic reader for myself, I felt this is what Hal Jordan would do. I felt like they did a really good job here. But even before we get into the reveal of who shows up at the end, again, it shows just of the implications of leadership styles too, which I love how that, much as a parent, just say, oh, well, I can teach a kid how to swim. Just throw him in the pool. He'll learn. Just swim. Like, you didn't teach me how to. But no, just swim. Hey, just fly. Okay. And then not giving him credit. It's like, wait, you still have your construct going and you're not even wearing the ring. I can't even do that, but I'm not going to let you know that, so there's a level of their undertone of whether he feel insecure, or I guess he just doesn't want to give his trainee credit because he didn't receive credit because his mentor became his arch nemesis. So it's like, I think that is beautiful how we lead to the end of the episode and who gets revealed is showing just terms of how these two different characters, as much as they are alike, they're completely different in terms of how they go about things. And I guess when they come together, they have beautiful chemistry. So definitely loving it.
I definitely agree. It's just like, again, I really like the fact that this episode allowed us to sit with both of these characters in both of these perspectives. Because again, it's like the ring is running low on charge. It's got 5%. So he sends John to go to Coast City to get his lantern ring. And we also get a bit of a chance to see more unshown history when it comes to Hal Jordan, because it shows, you see his house, which isn't really even his house, is being, lent to him by a famous person. You see photos of him with freaking Obama and the cast Harry Potter, I think. You see just like all this history. You find the suits, the multiple suits, and yes, they are green. All right, get over the show not having green, people. There's green in the suit. It just probably didn't look the best in the trailer.
And that suit is faded. The one he got compared to the ones that are wrapped up is a lot more
right.
Like that suit that he's wearing at the end was more worn down than the other ones. Again, comics, Silver Age, read your comics.
Right, and it also makes you question, what did he do the last time he wore that suit? But not only that, it's like also just the fact that he keeps his lantern smartly in a pocket dimension, which now makes like the third quantum unfolding chamber we've seen in the DCU as well. And people gave shit to Chris Smith about having one, but yeah.
Yeah, and at the activation at San Diego Comic-Con, the gentleman that was the actor that was leading us to each different activation within the entire place and everything, he said, hey, Hal Jordan's ring is stuck in a pocket dimension. It was right behind the dart board and everything. And then someone reached in and they pulled a lantern out of the dartboard and everything, and then you realize, oh, that's the pocket dimension. It's like, that's where they got it from. Okay, so that's where it comes from. So yeah, pocket dimensions are common in DC universe, and we'll get, I guess, more explored down the line of how that's possible and everything. But yeah, I definitely love how they did this.
Yeah, no, because when I saw that, I was like, because I remember seeing your video from Activation about them, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then also in my mind, just like, this is the third one. First it was Lex Luthor's, then it's the one in Peacemaker, and now it's the one here. So it's like, yeah, we're definitely going to see more of these down the line of just holding artifacts, maybe even holding hidden history that James Gunn has not revealed about this DC universe. But just going into it again, just seeing the differences again with Hal and John, because with Hal, he's stuck in a town that clearly does not want him around. Like, everyone is so secretive around him. They're having meetings behind his back when it comes to, the fact that there are 5 dead aliens and one of them blew themselves up at the police station. And also goes into the character of a sheriff, I forget her name, but it's like the one who's with the Macon family, who we also find out in this episode is from Gotham. So that's a crazy thought, but it's just like, it also just shows like how good her character is, because it's like she already knows what Hal knows, or she already at least knows a few steps ahead of him. Maybe there's a bit of a detective side within her, who the fuck knows. Maybe it's like Gotham within her, who knows. But just the fact that she just knows this, and it just shows how competent of a character she is, that she's able to stand alongside Hal and John, even without powers. Just being a regular human, it lends itself into the detective nature of that. Even with the conversation they have later on, after Hal gets shot, trespassing on the Macon family ranch, and she talks to him, and basically for the first time, he's not treating her with like, Hal's cocky attitude or, flirtation, treating her like a normal human, and actually having a conversation about why she is so protective in the way she is, because she has fought tooth and nail to become the sheriff of this small town, to protect her neighbors and everybody. And even though she understands the threat, she's just trying to do it the best way possible to mitigate damage and also mitigate the panic around the town. But I gotta ask, how do you feel about her character, Sheriff Macdonald, I believe? I'm gonna look it up while you talk, but it's like, how do you feel about her character so far?
Personally, I love the detail again of that she's from Gotham. Explains everything, but also we get name drops a lot of other cities, Coast City as well, which is where Hal Jordan's from. Love that. But yeah, there's something off about this detective. Like, we know that she's in the future. We don't know where everybody else is at, but we know that she's in the future. And does kind of give that detective Jim Gordon type of like, okay, I gotta keep the peace here, but I gotta know what's going on here. And so like you come from a city where that this crime and mystery is like normal, and to a point where that is just a given now of how you dealing with conflict and crime in amongst a town, right? Now this is the point to being just a town just of like 500 people, whatever. So give or take, but yeah, there's something going on with the Macons and everything, and you lead to the fact that she knows more than what she's giving off. Even before she got to the ranch too. But I love the fact that scene in the hospital where she is very observant of Hal, and knowing that, hey, no, he's not fearless, he's lonely, right? And then it's like, oh, he's asleep, and it's like, who's Sinestro? Whoa, hold up, excuse me? No, you said Sinestro while you were sleeping. And it's like, oh, I did some digging. Sinestro was your former mentor / arch nemesis who killed one of the big bosses, i.e. a guardian. And then you locked him up and everything. And it's like, yeah, how'd you know that? Like, yeah, because you've been saying it with his name since you were asleep. And I'm like, interesting. And to a point, as someone knowing the comic history, but just knowing, okay, listen, we know Abensur and the landing and everything like that, and basically, kind of like textbook origin from the comics and everything, but we haven't got a sense of glimpse of what does Hal Jordan, who's younger, dealing with Sinestro. We know just from comics and animation, just know how Sinestro is. He's very egotistical, very narcissistic, and very strongman, similar to the strongman aspect, similar to John, which I think that makes sense why he doesn't really appreciate what John is being the strongman. Like, why are you following orders? Like, why are you doing that? I know you don't mean it, because Sinestro didn't mean it because he became a villain, right? So I think there's a level of what I've known from experience with people where it's like who take things way too seriously, and then how it goes so far extreme. And there's someone here who I believe you're taking things seriously, but you obviously have good intentions, but at the same time, you don't know if you fully trust me or do I fully trust you, right? So it's like, and again, to a point, I don't believe Sinestro gave Hal Jordan any credit. He just, beat his ass and sent him to Killer Walk, whatever, say, yeah, you're not even worthy for the ring, right? So it's like, what happens now? Years later, now he's in prison at the end, and we're seeing him now of asking things that he doesn't even know, which we will get into part of the episode about the name drop and the reveal of the Manhunters. Not Martian Manhunters, Manhunters. Synthetic synthezoids. I got to make a video to explain y'all if y'all don't read your damn comics. Not Martian.
No. And you know what? We might as well go into it because it's like on John's side of the story, he ends up getting kidnapped by who we find out to be aliens or at least metahumans. We don't know what they look like outside, like in their not human forms, but they're able to like kidnap him, tie him up, even able to keep up with him in a car chase. Pretty nice. On a highway chase, car chase as well. That whole thing, that was a nice sequence. But they end up capturing him again, and they're just like, no, that was not our intent. We were not trying to rough you up or anything like that. It's just that you're close to Hal Jordan, even though he's like, I'm not close to Hal Jordan. And he explains to him the reason why they decided to talk to him instead of Jordan, because, and going back to Abin Sur, they add the fact that Abin Sur, before he crashed on Earth, was taking care of the last Manhunter that's at least known out there in the galaxy. And again, for those who do not know, and again, Michael make his own thing, but for those who do not know, Manhunters were what the Guardians originally created. They were made to keep peace, but they ended up going past their programming and becoming some of the deadliest beings in the entire galaxy, which is why the Guardians had to scrap most of them and create the Green Lantern Corps instead. But again, as even Sinestro says at the end, they are they're one of the most dangerous threats out there, which yes, very much they are. And now knowing the fact that yes, one is on Earth because it caused Abin Sur's ship to crash, and that it's hiding in the small town of that John and Hal are in, and that it literally could be anyone because it has the ability to shapeshift into any being. So it literally could be any person, any character that we know, any character that we have not yet met within this season. It literally could be anybody. I wouldn't say either of our protagonists right now, but it definitely could be anyone from Carrie, who's the sheriff, to anyone in her family, to John's Gil Zoe, to literally anybody within this town right now, which really, and again, also gave John a 48-hour window to identify the Manhunter. Otherwise, they're going to blow up the entire town. And given the fact that we know in the future of 2026, past this 2016 timeline, that the town does get destroyed, it makes you question. It's like, is it their bomb that ends up destroying the town, or is it the Manhunter, or is it something else? There is a lot that we still do not know when it comes to back then in 2016 to currently with John before the events of Man of Tomorrow. So it's just like, again, Manhunter, we now know that, again, different than Martian. We have to make that distinction clear. Martians, different thing. Manhunters, a different thing. I know they share the same name. It happens a lot in Marvel and DC when it comes to these characters that there's just some overlap, but it's an entirely different thing. But Mike, how did you feel when it came to both like just John's side of the story, like everything that it gave there with him in the house, him getting kidnapped, and then him getting all this information, and also witnessing all of that as well? They force him to witness the tragedy of what a Manhunter could do, so he understands the severity of the situation. But how did you feel about it?
Yeah, nostalgia here. Go back to Justice League Season 1, the trial of John Stewart. I believe, forgot which episode it was, but deal with the Manhunter trial with the Guardians, and basically where John Stewart was held in contempt and basically because he presumed of destroying the entire planet, right? Kind of similar in this case of, oh, there's a planet or a species been destroyed, but the Manhunters were involved, and then you find out, and again, the cartoons again that the Manhunters were involved in framing Jon Stewart for that. Now, do I believe the guys that attacked him were Manhunters? No. Now, there's something about them that is actually intriguing. They say, well, we're not here trying to abduct you, we're trying to recruit you. I was like, hold up now. Listen. Now, there have been very speculative rumors about what could happen of, all right, why is it called lanterns? Does that mean there's more than one lantern? We know Sinestro here, yellow, whatever, but hey, it also could mean red lanterns, possibly, who are, powers of rage and atrocities and everything, and if you see these aliens, whatever, that are posing as human, you can tell that, yeah, they are definitely not human, but they're not synthezoids either. It doesn't seem like they're robotic or manhunters. So something about them, I feel like we're going to get a reveal of who the species is, and in the later half of this season, and be like, oh shoot, they're red lanterns. That's why they say recruit, right? So yes, and then I would love to see how this will come into play, and then even how they be familiar like with constructs. Oh, you don't have your ring. Oh, it's very powerful. You have to have a construct, and you don't have your ring. Yeah, it's not like you're familiar with lantern rings.
Mm-hmm.
Now right?
Right.
Again.
Yeah, and it's like just also the fact that, again, the character who is giving him all this information, his name's Anton. He's played by Paul Ben Victor. A lot of people, Anton. A lot of people are speculating he might be Atrocitus in disguise, which honestly, given his voice, I would love for him to be Atrocitus, but I know we'll see. We shall see. But he definitely is somebody that knows a lot about lanterns. But actually going into Jon, it makes you just also understand the differences between Hal and Jon, because it's like, earlier Hal was trying to get Jon to fly. He couldn't, but he ended up creating a construct of a bird. And even though he gave the ring back to Hal, and that ring was on 5%, even with the fact that he was near the lantern battery, the fact that throughout the entirety of the episode, that bird stayed around, did not dissipate until Jon himself made it go away at the literal end of the episode before Hal left Earth. It just also shows the differences between Hal's power with the ring and Jon, not just the fact of Jon being an architect and having more of a creative mind, but if you know how powerful Jon Stewart gets in the comics to the fact of where he currently is right now in Green Lantern lore, like if you were to pick up current day DC Comics Green Lantern stuff, Green Lantern Corps, I would recommend that series that's currently going on. You know just how crazy Jon Stewart can get in terms of his powers, especially if you were to read like the lead up to Dark Knight's death metal. So it's like, it's not out of the blue for Jon to be able to do something like this. It's just, and it also just goes back to Hal being like, with a certain conversation that we know he'll have next episode, because the episode ends with Jon giving Hal all this information, after Hal then got shot, dragged dead bodies. Also, what is it with HBO Max and just showing sausages on the screen? What is with that? Like, come on, bro. It's just a jump scare. But I
believe it wasn't real. Like that was whole prosthetically, that whole thing was like real penises. I was like,
come on. Come on, bro. But it's just like, anyways, it's like after everything that Hal went through, and then Jon came back and gave him all the information about the Manhunters, and also he's like, look, I shouldn't even be telling you this. They didn't want me to tell you this, but I wanted to because I respect the chain of command. But not only that, it's like the way that he is going about it that probably reminds him of Sinestro just a bit. And again, the fact that until he made it go away, the bird was still around. Like the fact that it all led to not only about the information about the Manhunters, but that is the reason that he decided to, for the first time in probably a long time, put on the suit, go to whatever prison planet this is, and go talk to Sinestro, who is played by Ulrich Thomas. Talk to him about, like, what do you know about Manhunters? Oh, if one's on Earth, then it's the most dangerous threat. Now, how about you tell me about Jon Stewart?
Second. It was your second most dangerous. Yes.
Right.
That's what's intriguing. It's like, what do you mean your most second dangerous threat? Are you talking about yourself? Or are you talking about something else?
Right. So it's just like a lot of seaplanes. Again, we know that next episode we're definitely going to have a bit more time with Sinestro in terms of just like the conversation with Hal. Probably even get some, like, even if it's not visually seen, like more descriptions on how Jordan's past in his early years as a Green Lantern and the downfall of Sinestro. Because as far as we know, Sinestro has not gotten a Yellow Lantern ring. He has not gotten to that stage yet, as far as we know. We could be wrong. It could be that the Yellow Lantern Corps has been established, but that is yet to be seen so far. But we'll probably find out within next episode about that. But also just establishing more of Hal's fears when it comes to John, because we heard that line in the trailer where he's like, "You know who he is? Yeah, he's my replacement." It's like growing the seeds more of putting these two against each other. Putting these two Green Lanterns against each other, and again putting John down the path of where he'll be in Man of Tomorrow. But how did you feel about that ending when it came to Sinestro? First off, looks great. But second off, it's just like, how did you feel about all of that?
Jumping from we've been in this town the whole time, only for him to put on the suit and just leave and dip like that. Now, again, for me, from a visual aesthetic, I would love to just see like a green aura around as you're flying. It just looks cooler. I mean, but it's whatever. But aside from that, the space prison, we don't know where it is and what sector that is in. But having this decision to cast this Sinestro, like an older Sinestro in this sense here, it'd be interesting. That I think we're gonna see him in a Yellow Lantern suit. I don't know. I would love that as a flashback or something. And I hope, like, again, because I saw a post from the actor saying like, "Hey, it's not goodbye, but more of a see you later" type thing. So I think it's like he's not like saying like he'll still stick around after this. And I would love to see a Sinestro like thrive in the DC universe along with other lanterns and everything. Because that should be very interesting. But to have that, it'll be those interrogation scenes, I guess, coming next week's episode can be very interesting. But seeing now Hal in the receiving end of his look at his former mentor, knowing where it all came from. Now this is like 30 plus years of history between these two people. And to a point that they revealed in the second episode makes me even more happy, because don't tease that at the, like, we only get 2 episodes of him or something like that. Or, I love, like, let's spend time with this actor and this character and this comic book character who's alien visually, first visual alien we got in this show. And it's like a pivotal character in Lantern lore. So, and I felt like that introduction was not a waste at all. I thought that was beautiful how they ended, and I'm intrigued. So, I don't want to subvert my expectations for next week. I think we got more of John's backstory, even as him as a child. That's going to be interesting. That he probably was groomed to be a Green Lantern since he was a kid. I don't know. And that may be why Dad is on like, "Hey, are you afraid?" We don't know. But it'd be interesting to see how that is going to play out. And he's going to be meeting a Guardian, so in human form, whatever. It'll be the same Guardians I met during the activation. But we're not seeing, I don't see blue aliens, whatever. It'd be cool if we do, but
I mean, who knows? They might be hiding that within the trailer. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know if in this episode, but maybe towards the end of the season we could. But it's just a lot is riding on going into these next few episodes when it comes to Sinestro, when it comes to John's past. There's just a lot that we don't know. And again, Manhunter's now being out there, Sinestro and where he was and what he has already achieved. Hell, does he even have his daughter who's out there, which is also a question. And just like, where does this all end up going? Hell, we haven't even seen Guy Gardner yet, and we know he's going to be within here. We still have not gone back to the current day of 2026 yet. Who knows? We might next episode, but is to be seen. But again, there's still a lot of loose plot threads when it comes to this. But yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. What did you guys think about this? And just ask the question, how's your white man? And tell us in the comment section down below.
How is your white man?
That was
I got a lot of white men at work, that I can say, "Hey, look, this one's doing good. This one not so good. This one just having a bad day. He's all right. He's my favorite." It's like, but how's your white man?
Yeah, how's your white man? But yeah, just Let us know what you thought about episode 2 of Lanterns down in the comment section down below. What are your hopes for episode 3 and the rest of this season? What was your favorite moment from this episode when it came to both Hal and John? Just let us know. We'd love to have a conversation with you guys down there. But yeah, we will see you guys next week for episode 3 and whatever videos we got upcoming. But yeah, see you guys. Peace and brightest day.